and I've had it. Enough is enough. I want to cue up a video that I've been given. And as before it starts, I'm going to describe. This was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone, and so I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does. This is when it zoomed out. You can still see it traveling. So, Mr. Knapp, do you have have you heard about events like this occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally, some of that stuff gets out in the wild and it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah. What the hell is that?
So again, I'm not going to speculate what it is, but the question is, why are we being blocked from this information?
Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Forgive the cold opening there. I wanted to present the little show there to open things up because I do believe that this is the most significant UFO hearing that's ever been held to date. There's no question in my mind about it. And we had some other hearings before. Some of them have been boring. Some of them have been exciting. I thought that the David Grush one from 2023 was very exciting, but this most recent one, I think, was probably most certainly the most significant so far that we've had for a lot of different reasons. In fact, I'm going to be talking about this hearing. I'm going to do a couple of other shows with regard to this hearing. This is just the first of a couple other ones. There's going to be two more, I believe, after this. Probably a 3-part kind of deal, because I think there was a lot to unpack there. And in that opening sequence, I want to say ask forgiveness to the people who are listening to the podcast. You're listening to a little bit of Beethoven there. What was being shown there was this segment from a video that was presented by Representative Eric Burlison during this hearing that was leaked to him, and it showed some object that was filmed by a drone over the sea near off the coast of Yemen back in October of 2024, and then another drone launched a Hellfire missile at this object. The missile bounced off the object. The object continued to keep flying through the air. It seemed it was moving at a pretty quickly. As from what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing there, it looks like it was moving very quickly. You could see the water underneath it still moving by very fast. And then there were 3 objects that exited the object, and you could see them. They formed a triangle behind it and just continued to follow along with the object. Even when the video continued and it showed it zoomed out, you could still see these 3 objects tailing this other larger object that continued to stay in the sky somehow. Now, there were a lot of now this was just one of the many things that I think makes this recent hearing very significant. That's just one of them. Of course, there was George Knapp. We also heard him talking there in that opening. He was providing commentary on this. He said that he heard about this. Him and Jeremy Corbell had heard about this video. They didn't see it. That was the first time they saw it. Eric Burlison, according to, let's see here, there was a report, I believe it was on News Nation, yes. On a News Nation report from yesterday, it says, the new video is remarkable. And here's what Burlison said about it. He said, I received it anonymously in a way in which I've learned is called the dead drop. The video was scrubbed from all information. There's nothing to trace back to, and I have no idea who gave it to me. Now, it's unclear if Burlison's being a little coy here or whatnot. I'm sure he doesn't want to reveal his source of where he got this video. But I think it was a very intriguing video, and it's apparently something that's been floating around out there. People have heard about this, and we finally got to see it now. And to me, it was intriguing. What do I think about it? I don't know yet. I think you need time to have experts look at it. We're probably not going to know exactly all the details with this, but I see a lot of people jump to conclusions right away. Some people pointed out some of the anomalous nature of this, what we see on this video. We're going to talk about some of that as well. But here's what I think. I just think that to me, what made this hearing significant was a lot of people seem like they're sick and tired of this cover-up. I mean, from the whistleblowers that talked during this hearing, they're going. They don't like it. Some of them they were talking. There was at least 2 of them that were talking like that, and we're going to get into that in a different podcast. We're going to talk about that for sure later, and that George Knapp was incredible during this hearing. I mean, he just laid it out. I mean, he was calling balls and strikes. He just using common sense to explain the situation, right? Well, what's going on? And I want to talk about in a different podcast, upcoming show. I want to talk about some of the things he was talking about as well. However, for today's show, I want to focus just on this leaked video that was presented by Representative Burlison. I think that was significant, and it was probably one of the more exciting videos that we've seen during these hearings over the past few years, right? And I just think that at this point, I don't know how anybody could say one way or the other what it signifies. What I'm seeing, right, when I look at this video, I'm seeing an object that's getting hit by a Hellfire missile, and then it continues to stay in the sky, it continues to fly, and 3 little objects come out of it, like little orbs or something. I don't know. The object itself, the main object, looked like it was shaped like a Tic Tac, right? It was lozenge shaped, Tic Tac shaped for sure. So let's see some of the comments here. Now, just today, Ryan Graves, he's a whistleblower who did talk during hearings before, who testified before. He says he reviewed the video. He says, after further review, it's conceivable the video is of a prosaic target struck by a missile. Chunks broke off, stabilized in the airstream, and began a parabolic descent that is generally aligned with the camera angle, making the target aspect change nearly imperceptible as it descends. If we had a longer video, we may see the components impact the water surface eventually. Without source details, I can't say any more. And then he sent a note here directly to Eric Burlison. He says, I am aware of much longer videos with clearly anomalous behaviors captured by the same MQ-9 platform in other parts of the world. The witness is willing to come forward, and the videos are accessible to the proper channel. So Ryan Graves, right off the bat, today, a couple days later, he reviewed it, he thought about it, and he's thinking it's conceivable it could have been a prosaic target. But again, he's not sure. How could anybody be sure, right? Some other people like Joe Murgia, UFO Joe on Twitter. He's someone who I like following. I like reading a lot of his posts on Twitter. He's always talking about UFOs. He was skeptical of it at first as well. He wrote on the day of the hearing on X, he says, the claim by some that the orbs move into a triangular formation after the strike is ridiculous. I didn't believe that. I don't believe that. I'm going to show you something later on, which I think otherwise when it comes to that. Also, someone who commented on this, who felt it was balloons, was another person I have a lot of respect for, Matt Ford, from the Good Trouble show with Matt Ford. He posted, unfortunately, I am confident this was a balloon. A real image analyst needs to make a determination. What was important, what was said today at the hearing under the incredible leadership of Representative Luna and the brave witnesses who spoke the truth. So a lot of people, there were some people who thought that right off the get-go it was, could be easily explainable. I'm not so sure. I don't know. I don't know how anybody could say one way or the other at this point. That's where I'm at with it. Of course, Mick West, the debunker, came to an instantaneous conclusion after viewing the video for the most part. He posted his own video on his YouTube channel, and he was commenting on X the day of the hearing and as well as the day after. But this is what he wrote. He said, "This is just wrong. The missile was not split. It didn't bounce off. It just flew through the target, breaking it into pieces and causing it to fall out of the sky. Representative Luna and Representative Eric Burlison need to issue corrections. They also need to stop displaying last-minute UFO videos from unreliable sources." Now, for one thing, how does he know who those sources were? How does he know they're unreliable? I don't know how he knows these things, but apparently he believes he does, because he doesn't want to believe these kind of things. But he takes this position right out of the gate, right? There's no other explanation except prosaic as far as he's concerned, and he hates this kind of stuff. He doesn't think anybody should be talking about it. That's how he feels, obviously. Former government official Marek von Rennenkamp, he actually responded to Mick West like he usually does, and he wrote, "So Mick West, the UAP went from faster than wind speed, not a balloon, see below, to zero airspeed. How about the object's rotation, which begins immediately after the laser ranger is fired and stop moments before impact? There's also zero evidence of descent in the wide shot." Yes, in the wide shot, you're looking at this video, and as it plays, it gets shot by this missile. It seems like you can see when the missile's fired. You know when the missile's fired. It's being filmed by one drone, and then when the other drone fires a missile toward it, the alert goes up there, and you know it's getting fired. When that missile's fired, the object starts rotating. How did it know to rotate? But it somehow knew to rotate. And then when it gets hit, these other three objects evacuate from this object and continue to follow along with it. And then the video pulls back, it zooms out, and you see that those little objects are still continuing to follow it. And I'm going to talk about that next. This was something that was posted on Reddit by a user named TJ Left. It was on UFO Reddit, and headline here reads, "Burlison video, debris/orbs act as parachute for the craft." And he writes here, he says, I made a quick edit of the video showing some things I noticed about the, quote, debris, end quote, that flies off the craft after the impact. In my opinion, the three objects are not debris, but are controlled orbs/craft that are working to maintain the craft's flight as some sort of safety measure. They don't appear to fall to the ocean as I would expect debris like this to, and it looks as if they continue to follow the craft for a long while after the impact. And then he has a video here. We're going to look at this video. Here's a close-up of the object here. We're going to see it get here. There it gets hit. And he writes, "Notice how the orb seemed to appear to maintain an equilateral triangle shape." Yes, the object didn't fall from the sky immediately. If it was a balloon, you would think it would blow up or just disintegrate. And then he writes, "and then position themselves behind the craft, almost like a parachute." And he's right. They do. They form into like a triangle. Like right now, these three objects that exited the craft are behind it now in the form of a triangle. Right? Does this not look like the craft is hanging from the three orbs like a parachute? Well, I don't know about that. But there are three objects that are continuing to follow this bigger object after it gets bumped into by that missile. And he says, now where you're zoomed in, you could still see the orbs following the craft. This guy also pointed out that even after it zooms out, right, when the camera zooms out, he's circling the areas where you could still see these three orbs continuing to fly along with the craft. To me, right, if some object is in the sky and it gets hit by a Hellfire missile like this, you would think it's going to just completely collapse into the ocean, right, and not just keep moving along like the way you're seeing right here. Right, and not only that, what the hell were those other three objects that came out of the back of it? And here was a report from ABC News about this, what the Pentagon's saying. It says, Pentagon officials declined comment on Hellfire missile UFO. "We have nothing for you." It says here, ABC News senior Pentagon reporter Luis Martinez says there is likely a current effort underway to determine how the video was leaked to Congressman Eric Burlison. Let's play this out.
Hearing with UAP whistleblowers raising questions about whether there's something truly out there. Now, you'll remember UFOs, that's what we grew up saying, right, are now called UAPs by the U.S. government. All right, let's get back to GOP Congressman Eric Burlison, because he played the video that appears to show a U.S. military Hellfire missile bouncing off a bright, shiny object off the coast of Yemen last October. Burlison says he's not speculating on what the object is, but he says he wants transparency. Senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez joining me now. Okay, what are we hearing from the Pentagon? What is this? Do tell.
Well, Kara, this is obviously something that is of great importance here at the Pentagon, because the Pentagon is concerned about the safety of its military personnel. And so what it does is it regularly investigates any incidents regarding reports of UFOs, or UAPs as they're now called. And so obviously this was something that was taken seriously. When I asked officials yesterday for any comment about the release of this video, the scenario, it took place off the coast of Yemen in last October, all I got as an answer was, we have nothing for you. That is kind of a typical answer that you get when they don't want to discuss something, but at the same time, it also implies that they're probably looking into how this video was released.
Okay, so there you have that. And getting back here, though, to the debunkers, like, I don't understand at this point, at this stage of the game, like, nobody should be trusting this Mick West, but yet he's someone that's brought on to mainstream news channels to debunk things on a regular basis. He's very popular all over the internet, and I probably making a mistake right now, even talking about it again. But because, you know, I'm giving him more attention he really does not deserve. This guy, I mean, for all we know, he might be right about this. I'm not making some instant conclusion about what we see in this video. I wouldn't do something like that, right? That's not the way things should be done. This guy consistently does this. It's always an instantaneous conclusion that's always, no way is it something to do with extraterrestrials or non-human intelligence. That's just his stance. And I'm going to tell you why she shouldn't be trusted, right? It was, I guess it was... Yeah, it was January of this year. Earlier, I actually went to Twitter. I was like, you know what? I'm sick of this people not realizing what's going on with this Vegas alien stuff, right? So I started posting some things on there about the case, right, with some images and things like that, right, just trying to let people know. Like here's one of the things I wrote. It says, let's rip off the Band-Aid UFO Twitter. Here are images that Mick West and other naysayers don't want you to know about. They don't even want to talk about it because they realize what it represents. The first one here is of a short gray captured in the Vegas alien video. Yeah, and I talked about this in this episode called Meltdown on X over the Vegas alien case, because John Greenwald, somebody who I have respect for because of his FOIA work, right, filing for all these FOIA documents and receiving a lot of them over the decades, right, ever since he was a teenager. He seemed like he showed us what a conniption fit looks like in words that day when I posted this stuff. He told me it was embarrassing. He wrote, sure, let's just pretend the head in the 8-pixel image with no context text simply is floating in midair. Just stop. How embarrassing. And then later on, he wrote, if you showed proof of an alien, you'd have more engagement from people that would far outweigh my 2 cents. Yet you don't. Why? Because this is silly and people are getting tired of it. Well, let me just tell you something there, John. There's more and more people finding out about this as time goes on, just like I stated a long time ago. I'm sure you didn't even know about that. But, Mick West chimed in. Mick West says, sadly, I think Jim does not really understand pixels, so your argument might be lost on him. And another subscriber to my channel, Cedar Star 90148, wrote to Mick saying, sorry, but you're one to talk. You turned down a professional crime scene and analytic expert asking you to challenge him on his results. Instead of just talking about it just being pixels, why don't you actually debunk it? Otherwise, it is all talk, Mick. And yeah, what happened here was West turned down a $5,000 offer from Scott Roeder to provide his analysis of all the evidence associated with the Vegas alien incident, and he refused. He wouldn't do it. That happened last year. But this is what Mick West responded to. This is what he wrote in January. He said, I understand pixels. That does not mean I have some moral obligation to talk to everyone about them. Well, I don't know what he was talking about with pixels anyway with regard to this. It had nothing to do with anybody who looked at this evidence. he's just gaslighting you. That's all gaslighting. But this is what really bugged me. He says, the Vegas backyard alien is stupid nonsense. It's just a shadow. That's it. The end. Any more is a waste of time. Now, I know just recently it seems like I've been having a mini international vogue, I guess so to speak, with regard to those Vegas videos, the Vegas analysis. I did a few more videos recently, and it seems like a lot of people started finding my show, and I've been getting a lot more subscribers recently, particularly on YouTube. And there's no question. I mean, you look at those shows I produced, right? There was one called Escape from Las Vegas, and the more recent one was called Emergency Landing, right? And some of the older shows too. There's a lot of people who have been discovering this, right? But to this point, all this time now that's been going by, not one person, not even Mick West, the great big debunker Mick West, has stepped forward to debunk any of this stuff because he can't do it. All he'll tell you, it's all a waste of time. He says it's just a shadow. Anybody who's watched that show, those shows I just recently produced, you know that this was no shadow, right? You've seen what was there. I mean, anybody with brain in their, even two brain cells in their head are going to realize this, right? This is what you get. And, just today, this morning, this is somewhat related, and this is going to be the subject of another upcoming episode. But I was recommended a show from the Corridor crew. They did a show where they, in one segment of the show, they claimed they debunked the Compton alien. Right, that was something I've been talking about here recently. I had Scott Roeder on talking about that, and he did a 3D model of it. He talked about it on his show as well. That was the case involving Jessica Ortiz from Compton, California, whose Ring camera went off in the around 1 o'clock in the morning in June, and it captured some sort of what looks like an alien creature walking by the side of her house. For some reason, the cameras in the front of the house and the back of the house didn't activate. Just the one on the side of her house activated, and it looked like it was some sort of a creature. Now, of course, Scott Roeder and I have been talking about this case, and we think it's very interesting. Is it 100% guaranteed like the Vegas one? No. I assign maybe an 80% to 90% chance of it being real. But the Corridor crew, right? They came out today and they said it's 100% debunked because they said they proved that there was some guy carrying a bag or a jug. And what they used to prove this, right, was there was a little, out of one frame, there was what they said was a head of a person, and then what they did was they put a silhouette of a shadow in there. They plugged a silhouette of a shadow in there. They didn't say that that's what they did, right, but they did, right, and said this proves it now that it was a guy walking by the house. I would never do it. This is gaslighting. I'm just wondering, sometimes. Like I feel like we're living in like this is what's really going on here. It's like that movie They Live from the 80s, that John Carpenter movies where you put them sunglasses on, right? And you see that the who's who. It's real people are here, and there's some aliens among us. You can't see the aliens unless you're wearing the glasses. I'm wondering what's going on here. Why are all these people gaslighting us like this? How could you come out and say 100% guaranteed it was a guy carrying a bag or a jug? You have absolutely no proof. That these guys didn't even talk about the other evidence associated with this, right? They didn't even seemingly didn't even reach out to Jessica Ortiz. They were using clips from other shows, right? I'll get into that in another episode. But what bothered me was that this channel has like almost 7 million subscribers. It had, at the time when I looked at it, it was pushing 500,000 views after just 4 days. And it had like almost 30,000 likes, right? Think about all the people that just got gaslighted and brainwashed. It's like you're zombifying yourself by watching some of these people, listening to some of these people, believing some of these people. It's like you're a zombie. They're leading a bunch of zombies around by the nostrils. Yeah, I watched the Corridor crew, and they told me it was just a guy walking with a jug. That's what it was. Or Mick West. There's nothing to. What does he say? It's just a shadow. Mick West said so. A bunch of what these people are doing is creating a bunch of dumb zombies who can't think for themselves, right? You don't even have to trust me with this stuff. You can do your own research on these things, right? Look at these videos yourself. Look at the original Las Vegas alien video yourself, right? And make up your own mind. I don't know how anybody could jump to conclusions like these people do too. Like, how could you look at that video from the other day and just reach that conclusion instantaneously? Like that, it was definitely balloons. That's what it is. This is ridiculous. You better check your sources. This stuff is just maddening. It's maddening to me. We need to, people need to wake up. Stop having other people think for you or tell you what's what all the time. Do your own research. People need to start doing things for themselves. Start thinking for themselves, right? Not trusting these. You can't trust mainstream news. You can't trust who these people like Mick West and these other debunkers, the Corridor crew, right? Some professional. Kudos to them for being able to create some kind of a show like this and having it so successful. Why were you lying to people like this and acting like very extremely supremely confident when it's over? Oh yes, this proves it 100%. And that's what you pretty much see with what we saw from the other day. I don't know what was that hearing. To me. That video was probably the most exciting thing, the most exciting visuals that we saw during that hearing. And of course, George Knapp was incredible during the whole thing, laying out common sense for everyone to see. I mean, basically, making statements that most people don't make on a regular basis, common sense statements. We don't get that all the time, but yet we still have these people just trying to convince everyone else, hey, don't believe in this, don't look into it, it's nothing to it, it's a waste of time. It just makes me angry when I think about it. Anyway, I just want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.